What's going on, everyone? So Elgin continues to see whatever that spirit is. Now, a lot of people think that it's Fatima, that it's kind of what she's becoming, what she's turning into. I've seen kind of that theory, people mentioning that down in the comment section. I don't really believe that that's what it is. It's very possible, right? Like I always say, you can't really rule anything out with this show. I just think if you look at Fatima as well as this spirit, they do have some different facial features that are like the nose in particular, I think is very different. But also, more than anything, the show is very based in various folklores and mythologies. And there are, through numerous folklores and mythologies, spirits that kind of warn of a woman dying in childbirth and stuff like that. So I think that that's what Elgin is seeing, is kind of this spirit, this warning of like, hey, Fatima is going down this path, because clearly Elgin is connected to Fatima. Elgin has some ties to that baby. I mean, the dream that he couldn't remember was about the pregnancy. And ever since she's gotten pregnant, he started seeing this spirit. Now, he is petrified of this spirit, but the spirit keeps trying to communicate with him. And I do believe at some point, Elgin is going to listen to what the spirit says. I think at some point he's going to listen to the help me and have some kind of dialogue in which we'll gain some more information. Because right now, every time he just sees it, he's petrified, runs away, or backs up. And clearly it's saying to help. And it's just like, in the last episode, I'm like, just listen, like, please, right? Like, I'm just like, can you just find out? Like, stop being scared. She's not going anywhere. You keep running. You're not going to be able to run from this. So you might as well just face it and figure out what it is. But I'm sure we'll get there at some point. However, I think Elgin is headed down either one of two paths. I think Elgin is either A, heading down the path where he is going to have to take out Fatima. It's going to be his responsibility to take her out. Maybe he's the one that can save her, right? Because that's kind of the point. So I guess you could argue three paths. One of taking her out, two of trying to save her. But I think that Elgin's going to either directly impact Fatima in some capacity, again, saving her or killing her, or the alternative is, I believe Fatima is going to kill Elgin at some point. You're starting to see the evolution and kind of almost metamorphosis of Fatima. She went from rotten vegetables and stuff to now moving over to humans. And I did a video diving into Fatima and what's going on with her specifically, so I don't want to spend too much time diving into that, just because I want to keep this Elgin based. So definitely check out that video if you want some more information. But to briefly summarize, right, we see her tasting Nikki, right? Got to be careful how I word stuff on YouTube. So, you know, and you see her having her hunger, her thirst start to be quenched. And I don't think that it's just going to end there. I think that that's going to keep continuing to evolve. Maybe even to the point where maybe the monsters enable her. Maybe the monsters even help her. It makes sense, right? Like, she's having this craving, she's having this hunger, she doesn't want to just take people out. So what if the monsters are like, hey, we got this person over here, right? They shouldn't have been out. We're about to kill them. You could help us. You could eat them. You can have them. Or we're just going to eat them anyway. So you might as well, you know, insatiate your hunger, right? Like, and I could see her kind of falling to that temptation. Either something's going on with her child or something's going on with her specifically. Right? Either she is clearly breeding a monster or she is becoming the monster herself. And we heard from not only one of the monsters, but also Christy when she was doing the biopsy that, hey, this used to be human. At one point, they were human, went through this metamorphosis that changed them into the monsters that we see. And I think Fatima is kind of headed down that path. So I think at some point, you're going to see an encounter between Fatima and Elgin. Right? Now, could it reach a boiling point to where, you know, maybe Elgin is saved, right? And Fatima ultimately dies. But I think Elgin is going to be at the root. I think Elgin is going to either his multiple characters, you see multiple characters have these sort of paths that they have to go on, these journeys that they're headed down. And Elgin is clearly headed down a path and journey towards Fatima. And so there's going to be a resolution to that at some point. This is going to hit a head at some point. Now, could Ellis potentially intervene? Could Ellis potentially maybe kill Fatima as Boyd had to do with Ellis's mother? Does Ellis end up killing Elgin to save Fatima, right? Whether he's aware or not, right? Maybe it's just he sees Elgin get ready to kill her and thinks like, I need to save my wife, so he goes and helps her and doesn't realize that, no, Elgin is trying to save not only you, but everybody, right? Or does Ellis end up finding out? I really wanted to see Ellis walk in on Fatima. I want to see, what does that look like? Does Ellis panic? Does he look at her as a monster? Does he try to enable her? Does he break down? Does he tell anybody about it? Does he try to hide it and mask it? Does he take her to that little colony, the little village that you have Kenny and Christy and Jade in right now? Like, what happens when Ellis discovers what is going on? What happens when Ellis realizes, like, wait a minute, something's off, right? Does he start to work with Elgin at some point to try to resolve this, right? Does maybe Ellis discover it? He's kind of trying to hold it and keep it a secret, and Elgin just kind of gets it out of him type thing, and he tells, or maybe Elgin talks to the spirit, right? Finally, spirit relays something to Elgin. Elgin doesn't want to go tell Fatima, so he goes and tells Ellis. And then Ellis, maybe he thinks, oh, you're crazy, whatever, he's in denial, and then catches Fatima, and then him and Elgin end up kind of teaming up to try to save Fatima. Because obviously, I don't think Elgin wants Fatima dead. I don't think he wants to have to kill her. But it does kind of feel like it's going to come to a head where either Elgin or Fatima dies. I don't see both of them surviving this. Now, it's very possible. Obviously, I don't know. It's just a theory. It's just an idea based on the information we have. But clearly, Elgin is meant to save Fatima or the child, right? My guess is it's Fatima, because the spirit keeps talking to Elgin and asking to help me. So I think that there is that tie-in. I think there is that connection to the Fatima and the spirit rather than Fatima and the baby. I think that they're going to have to either, maybe the resolution in the way they all survive is to prevent the baby from coming, right? Again, got to be careful how I phrase stuff. So I'm sure you're picking up what I'm putting down, but maybe that's the approach that they have to take. Maybe Elgin is kind of caught in this position where it's like, Ellis, I'm sorry, we have to, abolish this. We have to get rid of this, which makes sense. I mean, she was never supposed to be pregnant. She never meant to get pregnant. I also wonder if, and I talked about this in the Fatima video, but I wonder if her transformation, like, I know when Fatima first got pregnant, she had her fears, she had her concern, like, what if it's evil? What if it's this? And everyone kind of warned her, like, no, like, out of all the craziness in this place, like, this is finally something good. I think it's very possible that that's what was intended. That originally it was meant to be good, that originally she was meant to have a good, healthy child, and that in and of itself would be a struggle, right? You got a bunch of monsters, now you have to raise a baby in this place, right? Like, that in and of itself, yes, is a blessing, but it's also kind of a bit of a curse, right? But I also think that the smiley monster dying could potentially be what is causing this evolution of Fatima. And you look at kind of the patterns throughout this series. Good people die, good things happen, right? Tien dies, you get all this food, right? Now, what happens when a monster dies? What happens when the smiley face dies? Is it kind of an eye for an eye? It's like, hey, you took one of ours, we're taking one of yours. And we're not just going to kill yours, we're going to turn yours. And we're going to turn the one that has a baby. So we're going to get two for the price of one type thing. I think that could be very interesting. But clearly this is going to continue to evolve. Clearly there's a path that Elgin is on. There's a journey that he's going to have to go through, as well as Fatima. Fatima is going to have to continue to do the same thing as well. And it's very interesting to see how are these two paths going to cross, because they're headed in a trajectory head on. Do they actually meet head on and one ends up dying like I think it does, or do one of them end up do they both survive? Do they both end up dying? Does Ellis end up eventually killing both? How does this play out is what I'm very curious to see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think that Elgin, that he's going to meet his end, that he's not going to survive this, that Fatima maybe potentially even eats him? It's kind of what I think is going to happen at some point. That he'll end up being the kind of kill for Fatima, because he won't listen to the spirit, or he won't want to do what he has to do, and ultimately Fatima is going to take him out. Do you agree with that theory? Do you agree with that idea? Do you think, nah, it's got to be something else? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.